Good evening, Swindon Town fans, and welcome to Falls Rush In. Fyfie's away at science camp this weekend, so he's asked me to fill in for him. We've got a lot to discuss tonight with the review of Stevenage and preview of the Crewe game tomorrow, as well as our end of season awards. So with that, let's roll those credits.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
So let's get straight into it and bring our panelists on for today. Starting off with the man who I spend many a time pulling my hair out whenever I see a message come up in the WhatsApp group. It's Ben. Yeah, you knew I was talking about you, mate. How you doing, mate? All right.
I'm good, fella. I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, everyone's favourite irritant is back.
No, I love you really, mate. I love you really. It's all good fun in the end, isn't it?
Love you too.
It would be boring, mate, if we all had the same opinion, which is
exactly that. That's what we're about. Diverse.
Exactly, mate. That's what makes what we do so good. So yeah. But with that, let's invite the richest person in Swindon onto the pod. And good evening, Rich. How are you, mate?
Evening, mate. How you doing? How you doing, boys?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, mate. All good. You're travelling up to Crewe tomorrow, then, mate. You looking forward to it?
another slog, another person being reliant on me driving. So hey, never mind. But hey, it's all right. It's all good. It's a fun day out, and hopefully we can get a win. Fingers crossed.
Well, unfortunately, mate, you can't be sober every week. You got to be sober some weekends, haven't you? So there we go.
That's the other upside to it. So
brilliant, mate. And then on to our next panelist. Is it 9? Is it 10 shows? You must be getting into double figures now, Gary. It's the man we like to call One Show. Although that name's really losing its meaning now these days, isn't it, mate?
I'll be getting that appearance bonus soon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, get on to your agent and make sure he gives Fyfie a shout. Absolutely. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Everyone all right?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for asking, mate. And then finally, for our last panelist this evening, we have the man who is known as the Oracle of women's football, local legend in the women's game. It's Woody. How are you, mate?
Mate, nearly 2.5 years I've been doing this, and that has to be the best introduction I've ever had onto the panel.
Did I blow enough smoke up your ass there, mate?
You did, mate. If my head gets any bigger, we're going to need 2 screens. One show's going to have to move out of the way.
Brilliant.
I'm good, mate. My mental health must be pretty good because I've not had to watch Swindon for the last couple of games. So, unlike Ben, who definitely had a head of hair at the beginning of the season, it's looking good.
I think that's about right. It's like with the free match day ticket for the Crawley game that we tried to give out. Nobody will nobody seems to want to take up. So, yeah, that says a lot. But we will go on to that later. We have found someone who we could inflict that Crawley game onto, haven't we? But we'll go into that a bit later. So yeah, let's go straight into what was not the best of games, obviously, or the best of results, but the Stevenage game on Tuesday. Quite a controversial game. It was close at times, and obviously there was a few penalty shouts that Swindon might have felt that we were hard done by that we didn't get. Ben, how did you feel overall? It went on Tuesday.
I feel overall, I think Stevenage did deserve the victory. I think the first 20 minutes or so, they could easily been like 3 or 4 up. I think they got off to a quick start. Their goals seemed to be inevitable. We did have our moments in the first half. There were certainly some nice passes to play, but they were kind of far and few between. And I think Stevenage sat back a little bit second half. Let's have the little bit of ball. I think we were probably slightly more threatening, but you didn't think that, you didn't ever have that feeling that a goal was coming. It would, if we had equalised, it would have been a bit of a shock. In saying that, we did have a few penalty appeals. I think one was a very, very strong appeal in Hepburn Murphy when he seems to be dragged down from behind and tackled at the same time through him. For me, that's a penalty, and if it's a penalty, it's a sending off as well, which could have been a game changer. But I think if Stevenage had dropped any points from that game, they would have felt probably quite hard done by, maybe even have their only selves to blame, because the game should have been dead and buried by half time. The performance was all right without anything to write home about. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I think the game was very forgettable. And I think the only people that remember it fondly are the Stevenage fans.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Rich, there was a period, though, in the second half where we seemed to really have Stevenage under the cosh before they started to see the game out and manage it really well and basically shithouse a result. What would you think were the positives, if any, from that game, sort of individually or as a team?
Yeah, well, just quickly, just to go back to what Ben said, I don't think Stevenage really did deserve to win on Tuesday, to be honest. The positives were that, I mean, like you say, in the second half, and it seems to be a little bit of a going on sequence in a lot of the games that we've been playing very recently, that the second half we just burst into realization that we're actually playing some decent football and we're actually getting at teams. And it's quite frustrating that a lot, especially the home games, we're really, really struggling first half. Not really entirely sure as to why that is. We switch off a lot. And we just let them have it and get easy goals, really. And Tuesday night was a really easy goal for them. It was a goal that we should not be conceding. It's a goal that we should be tidying up, getting a foot on the ball and clearing it up pitch. There's so many positives to take out of that second half. I thought the ref, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about the ref, but he was an absolute goddamn disgrace. I mean, I've seen some pretty fucking terrible referees in this league, and I want to say he tops it, and I'm gonna put my neck on the line and say he does top it. I'm still standing by Bradford away a few years ago, back in 2019. Like, he was bloody awful, but Jesus Christ, he was terrible on Tuesday night. 4 penalties, 3 absolute stonewall, and obviously, we can't be reliant on refs, unfortunately. We do have to put the ball in the back of the net, and I'd say that is probably the negative. But we scored 5 against Wimbledon, though. So we can do it. And Wimbledon's not the only team that we've scored 5 past this season. We scored 5 past Grimsby. We scored 5 past Mansfield. So this team is very much capable. I'm not saying that we're going to put 5 goals behind third in the league, Stevenage, but we've got it in us to really have fought this season, and we just really haven't. We've just not been consistent. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, but, there's a few standout players, and I know we're going to talk about the players overall over the season a little bit later on, but McCackeren, man, like, God, he's not even a League 2 player. He should be playing at least the league above us. He's just absolutely been brilliant for us. He was probably unlucky not to score on Tuesday as well. So, there is positives. There is positives. And I still stand by that we should have had a few penalties. But like we've all said, we can't be reliant. We've got to put that ball in the back of the net. And we had our chances on Tuesday as well, and we didn't. So... Shame.
Yeah, no, I agree, and sometimes you do need that little bit of luck. I'd have thought out of those 4 penalties. I mean, I wouldn't say that 3 of them were stonewall, but definitely 2 were, in my view, were. But you'd have thought that we'd get at least one out of those four. So.
A lot of people missed the last one for me. For me, I thought that was the most stonewall of them all, the handball.
Yeah.
That was a blatant handball, and I saw it straight away, and I was like, I could not believe it. I was out of my chair probably the most I have been this season.
No, it's fair enough. But I mean, I'm sort of like I'm so used to how poor the refereing decisions are that it's just. I just sort of accept it now, you know.
You have to accept it. Yeah,
I understand people's anger in that. Gary, Rich makes a good point about McEachran, and he's been one of the few sort of shining lights since Morris has taken over. Although he did sort of have a dip when we were really struggling for form. How did you think overall about his performance? Because hopefully, if we can keep hold of him, if we trigger that option, he'll be key for next season.
I think we've got to trigger that option. We need to keep him next season. I feel on Tuesday night he was my personal match. I know lots of people have said that Hepburn Murphy was the other choice. Those were the two outstanding players of the night. So I think we've got to keep him for next season. It's got to be signing down. Let's get him on the longer deal. Let's keep him in the club. So I think he's the one player that squad who potentially looks like they can play anywhere across that midfield and pick a pass and look like they can do something with the ball. He doesn't seem too lightweight either. He seems to be got a bit about him as well, bit of a tackle. So I like him. I think he's a good player. He's by far the best midfielder I think we've got at the club at the moment. Yeah, by far.
Yeah, agreed, mate. And he's, you know, one of the things I think we've lacked this season in a lot of our games has been creativity, and he definitely does seem to make things happen, even though he's sort of sitting deep at the moment. Woody, sort of saying, obviously, we were saying about the refereeing decisions and everything, but you know, some credit has to go to Stevenage for how they played, even though it may not have been easy on the eye. Do you think that sort of not the way they play, but the way that team has been put together and are made of winners, do you think that is something that we should be aspiring to for next season?
Yeah, I mean, it all stems. I mean, Stevenage's success is without doubt a huge part to Steve Evans. You know, it's I think like even with him, I know we talked about him making his signings or them making their signings relatively early on, but that would have been demands that Steve Evans would have been put into that board. You know, he wouldn't have been pissing around. You know, he knows this league. I think when I watched you guys on Monday, you know, I think you said, Craig, like, Steve Evans is one of those managers that everybody seems to fucking hate, but like I would take him straight away. Yeah. Like even now, like I think he's a winner. He's a fat winner, but he's a winner. So yeah, I mean, he's just like he's like one of those, isn't he? That everybody hates him until he's in their club type thing, and then all of a sudden he's brilliant. But I would have taken him when he came available, just because he's got that winning pedigree. He knows how to win games. He knows how to shit house games. You know, the feedback I hear is that Stevenage did shit house the game. So, you know, but as Rich said, Stevenage might not have deserved it, but teams that have done well this season will win games without deserving games. The problem is we haven't really deserved to win many of our games this season. So that's why we haven't won games. And that's why luck hasn't gone our way. I mean, yeah, okay, we can't really blame the referees. I think at the end of the day, we scored 5 against Wimbledon or whatever, and we've still got to score those penalties, even if we get given them. And I'm not always brimming with confidence that we're going to score our penalties. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that made me laugh about the penalty decision was how it can be missed. I mean, if we had that referee when Wakeland got sent off, he probably would have agreed with me and not sent him off. So you know, but it is what it is. We'll get given some, and we'll get some not against us. So, but yeah, I think the referees have been pretty poor across the season. I think the team is the reason we haven't done well this year. It's nothing to do with the refereeing as such, because you can still win a game even with a bad referee. So yeah. But yeah, McKecker and I said the first couple of times when I saw him, I thought like he's a player we need to keep hold of. I think that maybe it's a bit of good business from the club that having this option in there is a good bit of business. Obviously, we'll talk about others, I'm sure, at some point over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult because when I'm looking from the outside, I didn't go to the game, but for me, we still lost 1-0 at home. So we lost 1-0 at home. They had more shots than us. Bearing in mind that apparently they didn't deserve to win, but I think they had more shots than us and they created more opportunities. But then people are saying they went 1-0 up and then shithouse the rest of the game. So they've managed to shithouse the rest of the game while still dominating us in the attacks. So I think we didn't even get 10 shots. So even if they shithouse the game, that still means that we're not really getting into that final third. So I saw Hutton's terrible defending as well for the first goal, so I'm glad that's back down to its normal roots again.
It's almost like he's on the beach.
Yeah. I was tempted. If I had gone to the game, I was very tempted to tweet the old beach emoji.
My mate did. My mate did that.
Oh, did he? But yeah, no, so. But
you just know that someone's going to take a beach ball to one of the games.
I was going to say, Crawley will bring sandcastles at him.
We might actually score at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but like to answer your question, I said, and I know I've said it a few times. I said in the prediction episode, Stevenage will be top 3 this year because they've done all of their business early on. They brought in good, not necessarily fucking brilliant League 2 players, but then I don't really think many teams have brought in brilliant League 2 players. But they brought in a good pedigree across the side. They brought in players that have won promotions. They've got a manager that knows how to win games, and that's why Stevenage are there and we're where we are.
Yeah, let's be fair. Their defense was huge. Those 3 across the back were just massive. Jeffco had no chance against them, not on his own, nothing.
Yeah,
backing into him, trying to win the ball. They were huge.
See, there was fans quite annoyed on social media that we weren't just lumping it up in the last 5-10 minutes. And he goes, "What's the point?"
To who?
That's exactly what they want you to do. They'll gobble it up all day long.
Yeah.
Their centre back. So the only way chances to play through them, but they're just so well drilled and they shit us. They were brilliant. I was watching on iFollow and Sam Parkin was just creaming over me. He was just saying, "Look, they've killed the game stone dead the last 10 minutes with basically their shit housing." And
it was 10 minutes on a throw in. It was substitutions. It was falling over, head injuries that arguably weren't head injuries. They killed any momentum we had dead.
And just as the player was rolling down, just as he was starting to get up, that's when they'll make a sub. So use another couple of minutes or so. And it was the Steve Evans show. It's why he's brilliant at doing what he's doing. Yeah. He's just wily old fox, and fair play to him. You can't get angry at him. It's just brilliantly done.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And when they say that they shithoused the win, well, it was only in the last 15 minutes, and basically promotions on the card. So I mean, I think we've got to get used to this. That there's going to be quite a few teams that are going to do that again to us next season, like they've done this season. Like teams like Crewe, who we've obviously got tomorrow, and Gillingham and. Sorry,
I want us to learn from that. I want us to learn how many late goals have we conceded in the last 5-10 minutes.
We've got to get smart to it. We have got to get smart to it.
I want Swindon to do that sort of mucking around. I don't care if it aggravates the opposition. I want to win games, and if it's something we can take into our own game, then brilliant.
Absolutely. And let's hope that we do learn our lessons. For next season. I just want to bring this comment up that Cozzy made about blaming the rest. I agree, to be honest, because I've never known the standard of refereeing in the 4th tier to be good anyway. So I think the sort of this is the reason why one of the reasons why you want to get out of this league. You know that the refereeing standard isn't as good, so you've got to do more than just hope that your luck's in or that you're going to get the odd refereeing decision to go for you. You've got to create your own luck at the end of the day. So yeah, but unless there was anything else you guys wanted to cover for that game, we will go on to the women's team for the roundup for the weekend. The first team and the development team are both away to Exeter. For the first team, the Exeter are top of the league, and Exeter need one more point, I believe, to secure promotion. So they've obviously got something to play for. So hopefully the girls will give a good account of themselves, and maybe it's not a dead rubber, that's for sure. And there's something, hopefully the Swindon Town women can spoil Exeter's party. Like I said, the
Park the bus.
Sorry, mate, what was you going to say?
Park the bus.
Definitely. Definitely part of the bus, mate. I've got the league table here, actually. I just forgot. So there's the league table there. Yeah, as you can see, Cardiff have got a game in hand on Exeter, and if Exeter get a point against Swindon on Sunday, then they've basically secured promotion into the Southern Premier, Woody? They'll go into.
Yeah, Oxford United's league. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the third tier of women's football.
Although Oxford might not be in their league much longer.
Really?
No, although they lost last night, so
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
lost to Watford last night. So
I didn't realise.
Is that right? Is that right, Craig? Is it one more point or 3 more points to secure promotion on that one?
It was just one more point for them. Yes, they're on 55. Cardiff, if they win their game in hand, will be on 50. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
It'd be 3 points, wouldn't it? Yeah,
3 points. Sorry. Yeah, so they need to win to secure it. Sorry. Yeah.
Bless Swindon seems to be in a little league of their own. 28 points, miles ahead of 7th, and even further away.
Actually, no, Craig, because it could go to goal difference, couldn't it? Because if Exeter win, that'd be 58. That'll be their last game, and then Cardiff could win 2, and that'll be 58 as well. So Exeter need to win, 10-0.
Oh, crikey! So it's like a Bristol Rovers last season, isn't it? Type of game for them. Yeah. I think I meant to say Cardiff. I had it written down wrong on my notes, but there we go. Maths was never my strongest point. But we've also got the under-18s are playing tomorrow. They're away to Chesterton, and this is their league table. And of course, they're doing quite well in the Oxfordshire League. So they're away, and so hopefully Grace and the rest of the girls will be able to continue their good season as well. So that's the Swindon Town women roundup. Unless there was anything else you had at all, Woody. Was there anything else?
No, it'd be interesting. You could take that down now if you want.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah,
and it's the wrong table, but I won't tell you until afterwards.
I was going to say only played 10 games. I swear they
this was on the website. This was
they split.
How can Brackley lose all 10 games yet have 10 points?
Okay.
It's it's now under 18 red. So I think it'll be interesting actually, just from a point of view of obviously with Mike Cook coming in, these were the 3-4 games that he was going to be assessing his squad. So I guess for those who like local women's football, it's going to be ears to the ground, I think, to see what happens now. He's had a chance to view his squad before they head into pre-season.
I was going to say, it seems as if he's already made his decisions.
Yeah, potentially. Rumours are rumours, but it's
when it's coming from the horse's mouth. Interesting. But
I guess
it'll be definitely interesting time for Swindon Town women. Let's put it that way. I think.
I think it's pretty sad, to be fair. I really do. I just think we've been such a localized team. We've got so much talent within Swindon. Even the younger years at the moment, you see all the players coming from the under-18s and all that kind of stuff, and actually getting a chance within women's football. And so I just think it's really sad that it's coming to this. I mean, I get it for the club; they wanted to get up the leagues, but at the same time, though, they're still going to be part-time and not receiving any money until they get to, I think, the women's championship? That's when they start getting contracts. So unless that's the goal,
they can do them earlier. They can do them in tier 3. In fact, there are teams in Tier 3 that do it.
I think the goal is obviously for, and this was in the thing that was brought out by the club about the progress of the whole club, and part of that was getting the women's team up into WSL2, which is obviously the second tier of women's football. But I think to get up to WSL2, it's a relatively small amount of money that you need to invest to get up there. But once obviously you are in WSL2, it's professional, isn't it, Woody? Which obviously the cost would rise significantly then, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I think I saw something today, by 24-25 season, all WSL 1 and 2 clubs have to have academies.
Right.
So,
okay.
and that's something we don't currently have. So be interesting to happen.
They say, somebody says that we do, but not that we're aware of anyway.
Well, I think we'll find out once pre-season starts, and it's certainly going to be interesting times ahead for Swindon Town women, and I'm sure we'll have some of the girls on at some point to talk about it and talk about life under the new manager and their hopes for the team for it to move from strength to strength.
In other news, my team are going to be what should we call them? Queens makers this weekend, as opposed to king makers, because Bassett have got Torquay. Torquay need to beat us to win the league. If they don't beat us, Bristol Rovers win the league. So talk about tied rights, tied rights and responsibilities. So it's either we go out there and upset them, but allow Bristol Rovers to win the league, or we go and lose a game. And it's
because I bet you're quite conflicted, aren't you, Woody?
Say again.
I said, I bet you're quite conflicted, aren't you, as to what you want?
I'm not, because I couldn't give a shit.
Right, fair enough.
But I think it has crossed a lot of people's minds a couple of times, like, because Bristol Rovers aren't a liked team, minus the fact that the Swindon connection, they're not a liked team anyway. So it's kind of like
the team that when they turned up to play
12 staff.
The devs
had like.
that
was my team. Yeah. That was my team. When they came to play Bassett, they had like 12 members of staff.
An entourage.
Load of boxes full of stuff, a tactics board, but not a single first aid kit in sight.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Tim Pop.
So, Woody, are you mathematically down, or could you still be safe from relegation?
We're not mathematically down.
No. So it still means something to you then, this game.
Yeah. And to be fair, we could, the way the tier structure is in women's football, we could finish bottom and still not go down, because it's just it depends on whether clubs take promotion, whether they get accepted for promotion, and things like that, like ground gradings and stuff. So we're quite lucky at Bassett because obviously our ground's really decent. So if we decide if we could get into tier 3 with our ground, so it's not that we're anywhere near that at the moment, but yeah,
give it a few years.
Yeah. So.
Well, good luck to your side. Was it Sunday? Did you say you're playing, Woody?
Sunday, yeah. I'm more looking forward to the minibus and the drinks afterwards, to be totally honest.
Brilliant.
Sorry, Brian.
Hopefully you can cause an upset and have something to celebrate on the way back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll move on to the next bit of news. Swindon's under 17s academy side have made it through to the final of the Floodlit Cup after a Josh Keys goal secured them a 3-2 win against Luton in stoppage time. They're going to be playing the final against Lincoln City, which for some reason is being played at Sincil Bank. Which is obviously the final. That's going to be held next Wednesday at 7 p.m. kickoff on the 3rd of May. they've done extremely well, really. They've beat 6 teams to get to the final. They've beat Newport, Cheltenham, Plymouth, Bristol Rovers, Sutton, and of course Luton. So this is really good. Obviously for the lads, it's good to see them do really well, and hopefully, they're obviously part of the pathway to get into the first team. Abu Kanu scored in that game as well, and he's got 36 goals this season for the under 17s, including numerous hat tricks. He's also got 9 goals in this competition, which includes two hat tricks. Across the 6 games, they've scored 25 goals to get through to the final. So it sounds like it's a good young talented bunch there, and there's Kanu scoring his goal against Luton as well. So
I won't be surprised if there's other clubs looking at him.
Yeah, he seems a talent, and
that's a ridiculous goal stat. Even I know it's under 17s, but even still, I mean, I think the last person to have anything near that was probably Scott Twine. So, if that's got anything to go by, it'd be interesting.
It's a shame. I mean, obviously that was probably the reason why he didn't feature on Tuesday. But it would be nice to sort of see him maybe get another substitute appearance either tomorrow or against Crawley, really. But and again, best of luck to the under 17s next week. It's a shame they got to go all the way to Lincoln for it, because obviously you're not going to get as many town fans are going to go out. I'm sure their families will do, and obviously it'll probably be heavy with Lincoln supporters. But once again, we wish them all the best of luck. Just got a couple of comments on it. He does seem to have a lot of potential, Garthy. So we'll move on to the next bit, back to first team. We didn't get a chance to discuss this on Monday, but I thought it might be worth talking about it today. Obviously, Richie Wellens. That's because we were talking about Richie Wellens before we came online earlier, wasn't it, Rich?
Yeah.
God, I'm one of those days. So he's let me start again. So Johnny Williams Jody said doesn't seem to be confident that we'll be keeping him for next season. Ben, what do you think? Obviously, he was linked away during the January transfer window. What's your thoughts on Johnny Williams? You're muted, Ben.
I think the fan base in general had kind of accepted that this would be his last season quite a while ago, really. I think there seems to be a sort of a natural end to his time here at Swindon. I'd like to see him sign a contract, but I just don't think he will. I think he's a very skillful, very good player for this level. I think he's going to attract quite a bit of interest. I think Wrexham coming up might inquire. I think Hibernian might come back in for him. And I think that he just might be tempted to one more decent move, in his career whilst he's, still 29. I just think it's a natural conclusion for Johnny Williams. I loved him as a player. I thought he's fantastic, but it doesn't look promising that he'll be here any longer, much longer anyway, which is a shame, but I've enjoyed watching him. He's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a good servant for the 2 seasons that we've got out of him. Considering how injury plagued he was before. He's made 83 appearances, scored 15 goals, and he's made 10 assists, and he's scored. He scored quite a few good goals as well, and he's been that sort of creative outlet. Especially for last season, certainly. What do you think, Rich? Because obviously, since he came back from the World Cup, his form obviously had declined. There's no doubting about that. But there has been, the last couple of games, certainly he does seem to be back to his old. The last couple of games he's played, anyway, he's back. Seems to be back to his old self a bit.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few people about Johnny Williams, a couple that don't go to the games as often, but went to games where actually he has been fantastic in. And I talk to him and I say to them, it's just such inconsistency with Johnny Williams. Like when he's on his day, he is the best player on that pitch, hands down. You think, why the hell is he in League Two? On other days, it's just like head dropping and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, though, I think Johnny Williams is another player that needs the players like around him to be on top form too. Because if they're on form, he's going to play well, and if they're going to move for him, they're going to play to his strengths, which are probably better strengths than most players you would see in League Two. I would think, it's groundbreaking for us. And, I think to have a player like Johnny Williams and the fact that he has stayed mainly less injuries than he's had at previous clubs as well, has been great. But it's just, really, really wish he was more consistent, because I think if he was, I don't think we'd be in this league right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, Woody, we've said it before, that, you can understand players moving on for their progression. A career is short and all that. Do you think that the time is right for Williams to move on to brighter and better things? He's 29 now, so obviously he's not in his twilight years by any stretch, but time is certainly just round the corner for him, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends as well what where he goes to. I think like Wrexham for me will be a pension move, like just topping up his pension nicely, because he'll have a fair whack if he ends up going there. At the end of the day, they're still in our league, so it's not like he's going there for progression opportunities. Maybe the Welsh connection loosely, but the that'll be a money move. Hibernian, I just don't see that as a big move. I mean, if I was Johnny, I'd be looking at it going like, it hasn't worked out for Harry McCurdy, so what says it's going to work out for me type thing. I don't know. I just feel like Hibs just feel like they've got some sort of tie on Swindon to get their players. I'm one of those that don't really have anything against Johnny. I like him as a player. I think, I know he gets frustrating because he does go down easily, but it's I just don't. I think I'd like to see him at the club next year, unless something better comes along. That's kind of how I feel about a lot of our players. If something better comes available, then get them instead. I know he's not one of the highest earners either, so I think in the grand scheme of things, he's probably one of our lowest concerns as well. So it's I don't know. I quite like him. I know he mixes. He's got very mixed opinions across the fan base, but he's definitely inconsistent. But then most players are at this level. So yeah, I'd quite like to see him next season.
Yeah, no, fair. Yeah, I don't think anyone would want to turn him down. Gary, I mean, obviously he's been linked with quite a few clubs, but how would it go down well with you or with the fan base in general if he went to somewhere like Wrexham, who could potentially be one of our rivals next season? Would that be a kick in the teeth, or would you say good luck to you?
I think it is age now. You've kind of got to say good luck to you. He's been serving for 2 years. He's played well. It was a coup to sign him. I thought it was a good player for us. It was good to have him aboard. He raised our profile a little bit, being an international player. So you can't argue what he's been in. Did I read somewhere? It's his best stats of appearances, goals, and assists for one club or something like that. Something stupid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in 2 seasons, that's the most he's done in any other period in his football career. So obviously, he's sort of progressed a lot under us, whereas before he always seemed to have trouble with injuries.
You can't argue with that. He's given his all. I know that some people will feel he falls over a lot and shouldn't do that quite as much as he needs to sometimes. But he scored some important goals. He's played well in some games. He's been missing other games. Like Woody says, if he stays for another season, happy days. If he goes, I suspect we potentially might get something better, younger model, maybe. I don't know. But good luck to him either way. Wrexham sounds a good move, but hey.
Yeah.
I think he would definitely be off if Gareth Bale decides to come out of retirement.
yeah. It's turning into a bit of a circus down there now, isn't it? But yeah, we'll move on to the next player. Another one that Morris was talking about in his press conference on Monday. So he wasn't obviously confident that we'd be keeping Williams, and another one that he wasn't too confident with was Charlie Austin. His future seems to be up in the air. I finished with you, Gary. What do you think will happen? Do you want Austin to carry on next season? What's your thoughts on it?
I'd like to see him stay for another season, just because I think there's more that he can offer us. I still think there's goals there. I still think there's a player in him. Yes, his legs aren't gone, and maybe we won't get 90 minutes out of him every game, but I think still there's quality there. We've seen that a few times. He scored a few goals. Do I think he's going to stay? Potentially not now. I think we're probably going to move him on, and we'll find younger players. It'll be the same, because I think the return was all, it was all great thing. The names of the back kids walking English on the back of their shirts and things. It's been a good market ploy and made the club some money, I'm sure, that in the roundabout way. But has it worked out quite as possibly you would expected? Maybe not. So if he moves on, I wish him all the best, and we'll go again. But yeah, it's a shame. It hasn't worked out quite as well as we expected.
Yeah, Knight and King makes a good point there. Is there any point in keeping players who can't play every game? I mean, I don't know the squads for every other team, but I'm pretty sure that Bradford and Stevenage don't have to carry any players. What's your thoughts on that, Woody? Should we be looking at players who can play twice a week, or is it okay to have players like Austin or Williams who can only play once a week?
I don't believe the reason he wasn't playing was because he couldn't play twice a week. So I think, although I see the point, in fact, that's a good point that Lee Poe makes there or whatever. But it's kind of like Austin. He's not like 36, 37 years old. I genuinely think if he hadn't had issues behind the scenes, which we might not know about, he probably did just pick up an injury, and it just so happened to fall in the space where we've had a lot of games recently. So, but I said all along that if we didn't get promoted, Charlie Austin will go to League One. He'll go there while he still can. And to be fair, I don't know if he said it tongue in cheek, but I think sort of Cozzy's comment there about Cheltenham, it really wouldn't surprise me, to be totally honest. It's still relatively close. It's I think whilst I don't buy this, he can't play twice a week, because he's not fucking ancient. He's just come back. He's not long been out of the Premier League. He's not been. We're talking that he got into the Premier League and the kind of top levels of the game when science was really a part of the game, and you're preparing your body for the future as well. And I'm not being funny. He's not exactly always based his game on being speedy and mobile and all this kind of stuff. He's always been a kind of poacher in the box type player. So, he scored a couple from outside the area, but he very rarely has been a player that creates his own chances in terms of like that. So I don't buy the whole should we keep him because he can't play more than one game a week, because I don't think that's the case. But yeah, I still stand by my point that I said, I think a couple of months ago now. If we didn't get promoted this year, I think he was gone. I think we've kind of let him back in. Fans have possibly fallen in love with him. It's not potentially worked out the way that it was originally planned, but I don't think that's all down to him. I think that's partly down to us in general. But yeah, it's it's one of those because there's so much mystery around how much he's actually getting paid by the club and all of this kind of stuff. Would I prefer to see him move off to League One so that maybe we can get 2 other players in on those wages? Potentially, yes. But the problem is the Swindon way of doing things at the moment. Same if we lose Johnny Williams. Same if we lose Thingy. We'll replace him with shit. So, I don't mind losing Charlie Austin to League One if it frees up the wage bill and we end up getting 1 or 2 or at least 1 very good player in return. But unfortunately, we've not done that for bloody years.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you should say that, Woody, because I said exactly the same about Jack Payne. I said, freeing up his wages would give us opportunities elsewhere, to buy in a couple, 2 or 3 players and everything. And look what happened. So that's a fair point, mate. Ben, I mean, it seems to be that whenever a player gets into their 30s, their early 30s, it's all of a sudden their legs have gone and stuff like that. Things like that are sort of pointed at people like Austin and everything. And I agree with Woody. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to play 2 games a week. What's your thoughts on that and Austin in general?
Yeah, he can play 2 games a week. I don't know if I want to remind Cozzy that we stopped talking about Johnny Williams 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, that's my fault. That is my fault. Actually, I'm struggling to keep up with the questions and everything. So you've got Poundland Fyfie here, mate. So
I'm not sure that he'd take the step down to Cheltenham playing in front of 1,500 people every week, losing and getting relegated. So I'm not sure he'd want to do that. I've got a sneaky suspicion that it might not be cut and dried that he's gone anyway. I think he might. I do think he's looking to go into coaching, and I think if he's happy and he's settled and the kids are happy where they are, I don't think he's bothered about playing League One or League Two. I think if QPR went down, he would jump at that, but as they're not, and he's here already, and they can sort out some sort of coaching contract as well as a playing, I think he might be around for another season and finish off here. But I don't think he's made. I genuinely don't think he's made his mind up yet, and he'll let us know. But we'll see about that. I think he was the right man at the wrong time. I'd loved Charlie last season. If playing alongside McCurdy alongside him last year, I think that might have probably been quite a decent little partnership. I still think he can do it. A good team that's going to create lots of chances, but Swindon don't create a lot of chances. He doesn't actually miss that many. He's just not had the ball and the feet in the box and that space. We're not a team that creates a lot. And if you look at the XG, especially under the current manager, it's like 1, which for a poacher, that's not enough really. You want so I still think of him fondly. I still think there's a small chance that he'll be here. There's probably more of a chance that he won't be, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the coming months.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Did you have anything to add on Austin, Rich?
No, I mean, I think all's been said, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him stay another season. Build a team around him, build players, bring in players that will suit the way he plays, because like Woody said, he's not long come out of the Premier League. He was in the Championship last season. He still scores goals. He still scored 8 goals for us this season out of whatever amount of appearances, 15 appearances, whatever it is he's made, which is still a really good return. And that's with players that don't really play to the best of Austin, really. So, have him here next season, build a team around him. He's your primary asset. He will score you goals. I don't care what anybody says. Austin will score you goals. So, if the finances were in place, it's not even the finances. Just get players that will played to Austin.
And let's
Yeah.
be fair, this is one of those sort of players that we talk about experience. There's one of your experienced players.
Exactly.
So keep him in
Exactly.
the
We
squad
can't
and
keep him happy. Just keep him happy. As long as you can keep him happy, then
because that's
what's the
his
issue?
influence as well off the field as well. It's in the dressing room. He
Yeah.
generally does give a shit about the club and the way it is. So that can only be a good thing, really, off the pitch and in training, and the amount that other players can learn off him.
I got.
If there's an opportunity to keep him. If he decides to hang around.
I got a question there then. So we talked about have we seen Jody Morris's effect in the last 11 games, 12, 13, 14, 15 games, whatever. Have we seen Charlie Austin's effect? Because I definitely haven't.
No,
He hasn't been playing.
But we just said about his off the field and how he's going to have this impact on these players, but we've still lost games even with him being off the field and supporting. Have the players got the fight that he?
But we don't really know that though, because we don't really see what's behind the scenes. It's difficult to tell. I mean, I'd assume that a lot of it is come from Jody, to be fair, but you never know. He might. I think he's always there, though, isn't he, to help the strikers, to help the young strikers, because we've got very young strikers. Yes, I agree with that.
Also, I don't think, although I see the romance behind it, I don't think he'll be coaching here. I don't think we've got anything with his coaching. If he's going to coach, he'll coach at a higher level. To be honest, as much as I know he loves the club, I don't think he's going to be that well connected that he's going to accept a contract potentially on lower wages just because we're going to offer him his coaching position. He'll get a coaching position. It's an ex-Premier League striker will get a coaching position in a Championship or a League One club quite easily. So I don't think we'll have the romance that, unfortunately, Ben, that I think you're thinking of, that we're going to offer him his first coaching opportunity. His first coaching opportunity will be with a Championship club, I think.
Yeah, I agree, Woody. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I mean, he certainly had been a leader in a squad that's certainly lacked leaders, and I don't think we've used him right this season, as we haven't used all of our strikers, to be fair, and I include Wakelin and Jeff Cott in that. But we'll move on to Tomlinson and Jeff Cott. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to do. I'm shit at multitasking, as you can probably tell. So obviously Jody spoke about both of them this week. This is what he said about Tomlinson, that he liked him, and but he's not sure that the finances are in our league, to be honest, to be able to make that happen. I'm saying that because the numbers I was quoted wouldn't even insult Clem's intelligence and try and ask him for that sort of numbers that I was quoted. So we'll start with you, Woody. What's your view on it with Tomlinson? Do you think we should break the bank for him if it's 200k is the rumoured fee?
200k.
Fucking 200k. Oh, you just wanted to get that in there, didn't you? You just wanted to get that in there. Fucking 200k for a player that's played about 20 games in the last 3 years. Has
it been that many? Jesus Christ. You sure?
I think, to be honest, I still wouldn't be surprised if we see the swap deal for Hutton happen. But I don't get me wrong. Again, we're talking about that romancing. Yeah, okay, it's nice he's a player, but from Swindon, etc. But I'd be hesitant to pay any fucking money for him, to be totally honest, just because, don't get me wrong, it'd be great. He is a very good player on his day, but we can't be breaking the bank on having another Jordan Lydon. We can't be breaking the bank on, having players that we just got no reliability on. It's just way too injury prone. I think, especially when you look at where we have got players in his position as well, I just think that, if a swap deal's on for Hutton, maybe Hutton plus some cash,
Yeah.
I'd take that because, but at the end of the day, it's I don't think. I feel like it would be massively the wrong move if we paid excruciating amount of money for him, to be honest. And by that,
I'm just trying to weigh it up. I just can't fathom. Like, so you look at Harry McCurdy. I know League Two and League One, but obviously Tomlinson's playing in League Two at the moment. Let's just say, and McCurdy goes and scores 25 goals. I know they're different positions as well, but 25 goal striker, who strikers generally get the more money anyway, who went to Hibs for 300 grand, and we're being quoted from Peterborough 200 grand for a player that's played 3 games for us this season and 3 games last season. Like, I wouldn't even bat an eyelid. I would say no.
Yeah, I agree. No,
I think that
I can't. The price that Peterborough have laid on him is just completely out of the water.
I think they're
ridiculous.
playing us. They're playing us. I think what they're doing is they're trying to
sure.
set the mark. They're trying to set the mark because what they're trying to do is they can say, well, that he's worth this money. We'll swap him for Hutton, and that's it. Job done. If you want him, here's the money. You swap it for us. We won't pay any money. Bang, job done.
Can we say this price was pre-agreed with Sandro when he made the deal? So this was Sandro's agreement. So whatever the pre-agreed deal is it's a deal that Sandro drew up.
But I'm assuming that was made before. That was obviously made before that he came to us, and we're assuming that he was going to play a lot more games than he has done.
No, that's how much Sandro paid for him on Football Manager because he's not injury prone on Football Manager.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ben.
I like Lad. I think he's good. I think he's a good player on his day when he's fit, he's healthy. He's a Swindon lad, Swindon fan, whatever. Then good, happy days.
I think that's why Peterborough have laid such money on him.
Yeah, and I wouldn't go down that road because do we want another crop? I think we should have a limited squad next season, but all good fit players where we can swap 22, 23, 24 players and everyone's fit. Let's not
That's what Leighton Orient did.
Yeah, let's not carry like Jordan Lydon type players again for another season where they play 4 games and miss out. Let's not do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, Ben.
I think with Thompson, by the way, the 200 grand was a number picked up by a random posh fan account. And then it's nothing official. That's not officially. That's just a.
I never said it was. I did say rumored to believe.
That's 200 grand. I'd be amazed if it's something like that. I think
I'd have played more games than him this season.
Injuries. I think we got to remember he's only had the injuries over the last year. Before the middle of last season, he didn't have a reputation for someone who picked up injuries. He played a lot of games non-league. I still wouldn't pay too much money for him. At all. I'd sort of like 30-40 grand. I think anything more than that I think would be a no thank you, because there is quality out there and we've got a right back and a decent left back, or 2 decent left backs anyway as it is, and Lavigne and Fraser Blake Tracy. So, I certainly don't think we paint the bank or anything stupid like anything near a 6-figure fee. But if he was available at the right price, as in cheap, as in 20-30 grand, I'd pay that for him. And I'll get him because he's someone because of his background of being a fan, that he's going to give it his all, and he's going to be a positive influence in the dressing room and training because he's going to want to do it for his club.
Ben,
he's an asset. Fit, he's an asset. Look, but we do need to get him right.
Do we need him? But do we need him? If you're saying we've got 2 left backs already, why are you interested?
Hold on. Hold on.
Right back anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, Gary. What was you saying?
I'd say, do we even need him? If Ben's saying we've got two decent-ish left backs in the club, in Blake Tracy and Lavigne, why are we even interested? Bin him off. Done. We got 2.
Well, I'd say I'd move Lavigne to a right back if that's the case, and then we've got Hutton, Lavigne, FBT, and Tomlinson, and then we've got 4 really, really, really top draw fullbacks for this level. But if we don't get him, then Lavigne can slip on the left back anyway, and then we can find another right back from somewhere. But
I personally don't think that what's the Peterborough chairman's name? McAntony.
Oh, McAntony. Yeah.
He's not going to let us have him for 30 or 40 grand. He's like the Daniel Levy of League One. There's no way we would get him. We'd have to pay, towards the top of what Peterborough want for him, which I don't.
Barry Fry, the director of football there as well, is it? Oh, Fat Barry.
That's true. I personally think that if they want Hutton, take the money and run, no swap deal. Don't pay for him either. I think I agree with Gary. I don't see why we need him, and I also think that if it wasn't for the Swindon connection, we wouldn't even be having this discussion about him. But that's just my opinion. I know he's well liked, and it's great that he's a Swindon lad, and we do want people who will play for the shirt. But I personally think we're heavy on left backs, and we certainly don't want to. I certainly don't. I agree with what Cozzy was saying. I don't think we should be paying money for anyone really, and unless they're really really good. We'll move on to Jeffcott then, because Morris also mentioned him, saying that he was one that they would consider. But that would be as far as the finances are concerned. He said he wasn't sure. We would certainly look at Jeffcott if he was available, or there was an option to do that. I think there was an option, wasn't there, initially? I think that was discussed when we got him in on loan.
Yeah.
We'll start with you, Rich. What do you reckon on Jeffcott then? If we can get him in at the right price, should we look to bring him in?
No. I don't think so. He hasn't had the impact that now he's done well in his moments. He's done well in his spells when we've needed him, but for me, he's nothing more than a squad player for us. He has been that this season. He's been nothing more than a squad player. We've played him when we've needed to play him, but majority of the games, we've not even entertained the fact that we're going to even play him or start him. So for me personally, I would say bin him off. Wouldn't even entertain it. There's plenty more strikers, plenty more goal hunting strikers out there that we could potentially entertain and actually paying some money for. With Jeffcott in the right team, I think he'll do well with this team, and I think going forward, no, I don't think he's the right fit for our team. I don't think he's the right fit for our. And again, I think he's another player that because he's got a Swindon connection. So I kind of feel as if I don't know what we're trying here. I don't know what we're trying to do. We're trying to get players that are so attached to the club, or had some attachment to the club at such a young age, and we're just trying to, create a squad of players that are homegrown. I get that, but at the same time, though, nah, not Jeffcott.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah, sorry, just put Cozzy's comment back up there. Yeah, winning mentality. That's what we need.
As I said earlier, that's what Steve Evans has built at Stevenage and Richie Wellens. So yeah, absolutely. Woody, Knight and King makes a good point there about him not being good in the air, and height is something that obviously we've lacked up front. So we're going to have Wakelin obviously up front next season, and Hepburn Murphy. I don't think he's the biggest of players either. Shouldn't we be more focusing on the target man type of player? You was a big fan of Davison, wasn't you? And so was I, to be honest, last season. Shouldn't that? Do you think that is the type of player we should be more looking at to, if need be, to pay a fee for, rather than shelling out for Jeffcott?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pay a fee for anybody who has been part of a team that's finished mid-table. It's that's kind of my general view on things. That, I mean, I get the sentiment behind getting rid of them all, but I just think that that would just put us back to square one. So I'm assuming that's a tongue-in-cheek comment. But yeah, we do need to bring in some players with that winning pedigree. But then at the same time, you could argue that Jephcott might have had that. Did we use him correctly? Probably not. But then I don't think we've used. I don't know. It doesn't feel like. I think we've had such a mismatch across the pitch in terms of the type of players to match the type of football. But Jephcott's just not done enough for me. He goes through almost too many purple patches where he'll score a few and then he'll go quiet again for 10, 11 games. Which I think if you have a look at his career, even at Plymouth, he was a little bit like that then. He'd score 2 goals in one game and then he wouldn't score again for 5 or 6 games, So it's a bit like what Charlie Austin's done here, arguably. But yeah, I just think that, so from my point of view, Jephcott was a loan player to us. He hasn't improved us this year. He hasn't made us worse, to be fair to him. He's not really made us worse, but he hasn't improved us this year. So what's the point of paying money for a loan player that actually didn't improve the squad?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree, mate. It does seem, though, that for some reason Morris is keen on him, and he has started him in the last 2 games. Ben, are you one of those who would like to see him next season?
Yeah, only if we play to his strengths, which we've not done all season. The same with Austin. I think he's got, for someone who's 23, he's got over 100 appearances in the EFL. He's got an automatic promotion with Plymouth. He was talented as one of the best young strikers in the EFL. Then scored plenty of goals, so he's got it in him. But this year we're a side that don't create that many chances, and he feeds off that. We've not played to his strength when all our guys had played 2 up top, and he works off another striker. We've not done that. So only if we play to him, but I've got a sneaky feeling that there's something could be done here because Morris is talking him up. He's playing regularly now ahead of Austin. I think, like it or not, I think there's a real possibility he'll be a Swindon Town player within the coming months. I'm all right with that as long as we play football, as long as we feed him, as long as we create chances for him. Because if we don't, he's anonymous. How many games has he just drifted through and we can barely remember him touching the ball? He's a poacher. So you've got to feed him. You've got to get him the ball in the box. But he's done all right over the last... Since he's broken the side, I personally think he's done all right. He's worked hard. He's ran his bollocks off. I think there's a deal offering if he there for him.
He scored a penalty and he scored a tap-in.
He scored, the finish he got, it wasn't exactly a tap-in. He was through on goal.
It was a tap-in. It was fed straight to him.
It was outside the box. I wouldn't call a tap-in.
It was one-on-one. It was passed straight to him, and he put it in.
Passed straight to him. How many of them?
In the words of Roy Keane, that's his job.
It is his job. It is his job.
Let's not get into a discussion whether Luke Jephcott had a tap in or not, lads. Yeah. I thought, as there was only going to be five of us on tonight, I thought it might be a shorter pod, but there we go. But let's face it, though, Ben, he was anonymous, wasn't he, on Tuesday?
Yeah, he was anonymous for a lot of the games because we've not been creating chances. We've been pretty poor, as I say. I think one XG of 1, so that's not many. But he's done it before in the past, so I'm not totally against this because he's done it. He's done it for Plymouth. He scored plenty of goals for Plymouth. He scored enough in an automatic promotion campaign, so he's got it in him. But he must be banging him in at training for Morris to love him.
I guess you're saying that class is permanent, form is temporary.
Yeah, in the end of the day, that's true.
No, fair enough, mate.
What worries me, and I'll put it this way, is Ben's talked about play to his strengths. But Jody Morris won't play to his strengths because Jody Morris isn't going to change his formation next season. We're not changing next year. We'll play exactly the same as we have this year. So if Jephcott's here next season, he gets no better under Jody Morris.
We're hoping he's got better players around him to create those chances. That's what Morris is probably
but he doesn't play as a 1. We know this. So if we're going to play him as a 1 next season, he doesn't score goals.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was the question I was going to ask you, Gary. How would we fit Jephcott in with Wakelin and Hepburn, Murphy
I
as
don't think
our
he does.
forward players.
He
you know?
We
He
were
doesn't,
gonna
he doesn't
play
fit into this lineup. He doesn't. He's not the sort of player we're looking for. We
No.
need, if we're going to play this one up front, we need someone who's going to be a target man who holds the ball up, is robust, can mix it up with defenders. You get the likes of Wakeling, Hepburn, Murphy running past, running beyond, flicking it on, and that's where the goals come from. Jeff got up front, as he is, doesn't win anything, and we carry on as we have again this season. It doesn't change with Jeff Gott.
That's
Spend the money
I
there.
agree. I agree, Gary. I'm worried that we're going to repeat. You know, history will repeat itself again next season if we sign Jeff Cott. I just think it'd be a big mistake, especially if we pay a fee for him. I think we know that money's going to be a bit tight, even though we've been told that we're going to have a promotion budget. I think it'd just be such a waste if we're buying players like Jeff Cott and Tomlinson.
Tribunal, wouldn't he, Jeff Cott? Because he's out of contract at Plymouth, so it'll be similar to Twine. But
it's still a fee, though, Ben.
I'm just saying it won't be a dictated fee, because I think it took about 8 months or so before.
I know.
If we got him for 20 grand, I would keep him. Keep him as a squad player. But nothing more than that. But I don't think he'd want to be a squad player.
He wouldn't.
I think he's got bigger ambitions than that. So he's like you said, Ben. He's proven it in League One. You know, he scored in that 2021 season. He scored 16 goals in 40 appearances, which is not a bad return. So you know, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's been this season for him. Obviously, like Gary said, he's not being played in the right formations, and if that's the formations that he wants, then it ain't gonna work next season. It ain't gonna work. But there's no harm if we get him for an okay fee, like a really, really tiny fee. Then yeah, there's no reason why we shouldn't have him in a as a squad player. But I personally I wouldn't really play him.
No, fair enough, mate. We'll move on to other news in that press conference where Jody Morris mentioned about travelling up on the day to Crewe, which is a 120-mile journey, I believe. So that inevitably that's led to accusations of penny pinching and finances and stuff like that. That's all come out again. Well, I'll start with you, Gary, this time. Do you think it makes? I mean, obviously they got the bus up on the day to Wimbledon, which is obviously a shorter journey. Do you think it makes any difference to preparations at all, or do you suspect that this is the maybe finances are a bit tight at the club?
I find it strange. If there had been something riding on this game, I think we would definitely go out night 4, 100%. That's 100%.
That's a fair point.
It's a dead rubber game, so we're not worried too much. But I still find it hard to believe that as a professional club, we're doing it this way with professional players. We're not a non-league second division side. You know, we're not a low league side, non-league side that's going to just rock up one day. These are professional players, and surely we treat them as professional footballers like every other club would. So I do find it odd why we've done it and how we, all of a sudden. Yes, if they're trying to save a little bit of money and they think there's not much point because it is a nothing game, rock up, what difference does it make we get rolled over there? That doesn't feel right to the fans that are going to rock up there. Like Rich tomorrow is going to be there watching the game. And we keep setting ourselves up to fall because if we lose tomorrow, everyone's going to go, well, we shouldn't have travelled the day before, should we? We should have got into a hotel and got ourselves a good night's sleep or whatever. We keep giving ourselves excuses to lose. And if we get rolled over tomorrow, 3 or 4-0, the fans will go, well, hang on a minute, we paid for that, and you just rocked up day on the day and weren't interested. So I can see it for saving some money a little bit. Maybe they don't feel like it's necessary, but at the same time, they're still a professional football club. There's still fans going up there to watch this team. So do it professionally, do it right.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, and we know that if we do get smashed tomorrow, that it'll inevitably that'll be the focal point, really. What do you reckon, Woody? Does it make any difference? Obviously, you travel quite a bit. You travel quite some distances in your coaching career. What's your thoughts on it, mate?
I'll be doing the same amount of travelling as they are on Sunday on a minibus. Come on, lads. They're not travelling up.
Probably more.
They're not going up in a convoy of fucking Vauxhall Corsas, are they? For fuck's sake. They're on a bloody luxury coach. They're on a coach that's got decent seating, decent air conditioning. They can sit and chill. Like, I don't know. Maybe it might be a bit of penny pinching from the club. I don't know. But I think, didn't what's his face, Morris, say that it was already pre-booked that way anyway? So I don't think it was anything to do with the nothing game. I think it was already pre-booked so that they were going to. For me, if it's under 3 hours, it probably took them that long to get. It probably took them two odd hours to get to Wimbledon as well. You know, so it's not going to be a dramatic difference. And like players don't tend to arrive until like between 12 and 1. So it's not like they got to leave at the crack of dawn. So it's I'm sorry, I do get Gary's point about kind of their professional footballers. We should treat them like that. But for me, like, to put them in a hotel for a 2.5 hour journey. I think this has just come out because Morris has said something in the press conference. I think if we've had journeys that are under 3 hours this season, I can guarantee you they probably haven't stayed overnight. Or it's only been because they're worried about, you know, the travel up. Their Crewe is a decent journey. I think it's M5 and M6 pretty much. It's not a bad journey to get to Crewe, so it's not like Barrow or anything like that where you feel like you're pretty much there, but then you realise you've got about 40 miles of country lanes left. But it's I think it's a something or nothing story, to be totally honest. I think it's just something for the media to grab hold of. I think if it was like 4 hours, then yes, I'd question it. But given the fact that they'll probably leave the county ground at 10 o'clock in the morning, potentially, that's not asking a lot, is it? Most of them live in Swindon. They'll probably pick up Jake on the way because I think he still lives up in the Midlands. So it's kind of, we're talking some of these players don't live in Swindon. Let's not forget that. So they'll be used to going, you know, kind of going up anyway. So it's for me, early kickoffs or more than 3 hour journeys, then we should be, from a entertainment point of view, we should be, you know, looking at that. But I don't think it will hinder their performance to travel up on the day. I'm sorry. If that's a reason they shouldn't, in fact, I'd swing the other way and say they shouldn't be professional footballers if a 2.5 hour coach journey is going to affect their performance game.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, sorry,
Let's jump in, Rich. Sorry, just what do we think Jody Morris had the point of making that point then? Because normally that's not something we normally mention. Why has he suddenly come out with that?
I think he's stirring a bit of shit up. So the fans.
I was going to say he does. Near enough every press conference now, he lobs these hand grenades out and then runs for cover, and and inevitably that's when you get these accusations that, you know, that it leads to penny pinching. And we've known all season that the club have been trying to tighten their belt, certainly with trying to hire people on the cheap and getting volunteers in for different things. So they are leaving themselves open to that accusation. What do you think, Ben?
I think Jody Morris uses the press conferences for his agenda, and to use to his advantage. He's done that on calling players out. And I think he's going to do this with budget as well, where he pushes on Clem and Rob, where he's going to get the fans going, well, what's the budget? What's the budget? You know, making them a bit nervous, because no one will probably bash an eye about the Crewe about driving up, because I reckon they've done distances before about driving up, but he didn't really need to bring it up, but he did. I think he knows what he's going to say in the press conferences before he sits down. He's not answering questions; he's leading them.
Yeah, because it was strange. Yeah, because he just put that in, didn't he? And there was just nobody had asked him about the preparations or anything like that. It was just like almost a throwaway comment, but every single person latched onto it.
It's manipulative.
Yeah, you got it right.
And he's using it, and he's just trying to be a bit clever. If it comes off for him and he gets budgets for it, then all kudos to him. But I think he's going to piss the hierarchy off if he keeps doing it too often. But I think press conferences, if you listen to him, it's slow pace. There's cleverly thought. There's lots of pauses, and he knows exactly what he's saying.
No, absolutely, mate. Did you have anything to add to that, Rich?
No, not really. I think just going back to the point in terms of what Woody said about the obviously travelling up on the day, and obviously them, if they can't travel up on the coach on the day, then they shouldn't really be professional footballers. They would have had to do all that when they were going on tour as academy players. So if they went to like Spain or all that kind of stuff, they wouldn't have been staying at a hotel. Like they would be traveling 2 hours to like the nearest place in Spain. So there's no excuse, I don't think, in terms of them traveling up. If that's what people are going to sort of levitate and take shots at, then
I'll tell you what. I saw Solbrin and FBT today in FBT's car. I'm telling you now, I'd much rather go up to fucking Crawley in that than a coach, because that is he's got a decent car compared to me with my fucking Renault Modus, which I have to struggle the baby into the back of the seat type thing. Where Solbrin's just walking in, he might as well have the door open for him and the chair pop out. It was that type of car. So
come on, Woody. Let's not just the marshmallow.
Yeah. That marshmallow mobile's done more miles than those fucking players. I'll tell you that now.
No, fair enough, Woody. We want something like Wazza's car, don't we? That's good for a nice trip to Bradford, isn't it? So and Crewe for that matter. So we'll just move on to a quick one. We advertised on our socials. We had a free match day ticket for the Crawley game at the end of the season. So if there was someone who you didn't like, you could put it onto them. And
flick them.
We struggled to have any takers. That's how bad things have got at the moment at SM1. But we did, in all seriousness, though, we have managed to find someone to give them away to. Rich, if you would like to explain, please, mate.
Yeah, I won't dive too much into it. So one of my players on my team, he's just had emergency surgery the other day. So I just felt as if it would be nice for him to have a day out of Swindon. I don't know if it'll help with his recovery much, but I think I think it's obviously going to a good cause, So I think it's really nice to see, and obviously I'd like to see my players. I always want to see my players going to watch games as well. So, fantastic. So.
No, absolutely. No, that's a nice touch, Rich, and hopefully he'll enjoy it. Hopefully there might be a bit of an atmosphere there with Lindsay coming back as well.
I'm sure he's buzzing. I'm sure he's buzzing to see Conroy, Gadwin, and Lindsay. To be fair to him,
I mean, I'm buzzing to see them.
It'd be good to see a decent centre back at the county ground. That's for sure. Is that a bit controversial? Yeah, so we'll move on to the game for tomorrow against Crewe. Obviously, it is your classic dead rubber game. Neither team have got anything to play for, although Crewe's form have improved recently. We've got news that Williams and Brewitt are out. So Ben, what are your thoughts on tomorrow, and who could possibly be coming in for Williams and Brewitt?
Well, I think Minturn's going to play the last two games of the season. I'd be surprised if we see Brewitt again. I hope Williams gets one more run out in front of the counter goal on last day of the season, but again, I'm not too sure. He's back in training, so I suspect he'll play some sort, so we can say his goodbyes. But yeah, I'm pleased for Minturn that he's going to get a game. Going to get a couple of games. I think we're probably going to see one or two more youth on the bench that probably will get run out the second half. I think it's Jackson Brown, who nearly got a game against Wimbledon. I think Morris said he was a bit gutted that he didn't get a chance to get out, so I think he'll get run out. It's a flip a coin with these ones, really. Crewe are going to rest some players as well, and it's their last home game of the season, so they're going to experiment a little bit, and they do what Crewe do, is probably give a couple of their youth a game. So it's almost quite hard to call, really, because you don't really know what sort of game you're going to get. So I only hope that both teams have a proper go and that there's lots of goals and the fans that make it up are entertained. These end of season games are usually really, really good or done as dishwasher. So let's hope it's a good one.
Well, certainly the home game was dull as dishwater, wasn't it?
The home game was the shithousing of that. That was a shithouse that angered me because that was just.
they got matey boy, former Oxford player, aren't they?
Yeah, former Oxford player, giving it the large one, running up down the Don Rogers with 1-0.
Yeah.
And so blatant diving and rolling back on the pitch, and the referee was just completely dumb to it. He was just.
I wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill him.
Well, we've had plenty of that this season, and we'll have plenty of it next season.
Yeah, League Two.
We got to expect that, haven't we? Woody, one thing that Morris did was questioned about was the possibility of playing McEachran further forwards. Because obviously we got Khan and Kane and players like that. They're not the most creative of players. What's your thoughts on that? Because he has been at the base of a midfield, playing just in front of the back four. Do you think that's something we could possibly see tomorrow, or maybe even into next season if we trigger that option?
Yeah, I think when he came in, he kind of played in that kind of 8 role rather than the 4 role. So he can be a bit of a box to box anyway. I'd like to see him a bit further forward, just because, like you say, it'll give us actually some creativity in that midfield. If Johnny's out, then we need to have somebody in his place, really. But why not? It's like we said, I always want to go and win games, obviously, but it's a bit of a dead rubber. So why not try things like that, especially if he's in Morris's plans for next season? It's see how he reacts to it, see what it's like when you put him into those roles. He might even notch himself a goal. It's it'd be quite interesting, because they haven't Crewe got the other lad who played in the same team as McEachran. Was it Charlie Colkett?
Colkett.
Yeah. So he plays for Crewe, I think. So it'd be interesting to see if he's starting. And then you kind of got 2 kind of Chelsea academy products, if you like. But yeah, I think, was that question about Morgan Roberts? I'm guessing that.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. Yeah.
I mean, is he out on loan? I don't actually know what's happening to him.
No, I think we recalled him, didn't we?
He wasn't getting a game at Aldershot at all. They weren't playing him, so they recalled him.
But didn't he go back out on loan again to someone else?
I don't
know.
It's a bit
not sure, but I thought it was a pointless signing. I didn't see anything in him. The players, I don't know what people were watching when he did play, because I certainly didn't see anything in him. I don't really see. I didn't see enough minutes of him on the pitch, to be honest, to really judge. He looked a bit lightweight, but other than that, he's too small. It's too small. He'd get absolutely ridiculed in this league. Yeah,
and the worry is we're seeing him out on loan. He's not getting games.
Yeah, exactly. It was a league.
That's the more concerning for me. I think I thought I quite liked him the couple of games I've seen him in. I thought he had a bit of energy about him, and I saw him a few times at Banbury as well. But it's when I used to do my circulating around the non-league. But if he's not getting games, despite us loaning him out to lower league opposition, then that's probably a bit of a red flag. But in some ways it'd be really nice to kind of maybe get 2 or 3 goals up, and then maybe if he's taken a few of the youngsters, just smack them on, regardless if we're 2 goals out, or even if we're not, just give them give them something,
I think if we don't give them a chance in these dead rubbers, they're never going to get chances, are they? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's the ideal opportunity as far as I'm concerned. But Gary, because I know you're a bit of a fan of the player, if I just bring this comment up for you. I'm also a fan of Aguirre as well, to be honest. Morris did speak about him in the press conference, saying that he will pick the squad that gets the best result. But he said that there's also been a lot of competition. Yeah, I know, Woody. I felt the same. My face went the same, to be honest. But he said there's a lot of competition in front of him. I mean, I think I said this on Monday, actually. You know, when he came in for Jack Payne last season under Garner, he played well. He didn't have a bad game. He looked. You know, he didn't look out of place in that team. What's your thoughts on Aguiar?
I think, like you said, last season he played, or the season before he played when Jack Payne was out and did a decent job. He looked like he had a shot on him. He looked like he had a pass on him. May not have been the most robust of players in terms of tackle, which I think Morris is almost sort of alluded to. But sometimes you need a bit of creativity in the side, and I think Aguiar has that sort of player with a shot on him and can score a goal and create something. I don't understand how he's been put behind the likes of Darcy in his team. I generally don't understand that, because Darcy offers nothing. So yeah, there's something going on there. It's more than just he's not robust enough. He doesn't like him for whatever reason. But I think he should be at least on the bench.
I agree with that about Darcy as well. He should be ahead of Darcy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Rich, obviously there's nothing to play for tomorrow. But what's your thoughts on the game? You know, do you think that we should give some players a chance, like Woody was saying, get some minutes for the younger players to prove themselves?
Yeah, I do, but also I think, you know, I still think there's a few players that are probably playing for their contracts out there as well. So I think they'll definitely get a chance. I don't think we're gonna be overly playing youngsters. I think Minton will come in. I think that in itself is obviously, you know, well, it's not a risk because obviously there's nothing to play for, but obviously he's still 18, so he's still very much learning the game as well. So that's something. And obviously in terms of the centre back position for a youngster coming in, is obviously, you know, it's a tough position to play at any age, but at 18, so will he mix it up too much? I'm not too sure. I would like to see Kanu get a few minutes. I would also love to see Dworzak start, but I don't think he will. And the fact that he's not even been on the bench recently makes me believe I'm not entirely sure what's going on with him. I know he's signed the pro deal. Is he? Right, okay. Well, if that's the case, then fair enough. Then he might come in for either tomorrow or maybe Crawley. But yeah, I don't know much about this Brown lad, but what's his first name?
Jackson
Brown. Yeah, I don't know too much about him. But yeah, you know,
obviously he's impressed Morris to make the bench. I guess, you know,
clearly
he's a defender, isn't he?
Is he? I don't actually know. This is what I mean. I have no idea. Yeah, no, I'd be interested to see him get a few minutes maybe as well. But in terms of actual players as well, I know Morris has said about Connor Bran, not being quite ready to play any games yet. But you're starting him on the bench, so if Brent got injured,
he'd have to come on anyway. So what's the risk? We've got nothing to lose now, so we might as well play him, see what he can do, because I think he might be heavily brought in tomorrow. He'd be heavily tested in that game tomorrow. I think there's going to be quite a few goals tomorrow, for both teams. I think both teams are going to be leaky, and I think both teams are going to go for it and show what they can do. I reckon it'll be a draw, but I reckon there's going to be quite a few goals. So obviously we'll wait for our predictions, but yeah, that's how I see the game going. You know, I think Tomlinson will also come back in tomorrow.
as well. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. And I hope he experiments. I really do hope Jody Morris experiments tomorrow, because I think he'd be surprised himself with manipulating a few positions what can actually happen with this team.
He doesn't seem to want to, does he? He doesn't seem to want to change it. Like
No, he doesn't. But I think we've been saying it for weeks. You put Romeo Hutton at right mid, keep Lavinia and Joe Tomlinson at fullback. The amount of goals we would score.
Yeah,
I think we would score a lot of goals.
well, Hutton, as good as he's been with the assists, he certainly can't defend. That's for sure.
Exactly. That's just it. Use him in his like we've been saying all night. Use his strength. Work with his strength. And
Which
is management 101, isn't it, Woody? Using the players to their strengths. But
you can only play a style if you've got the players to play that style.
Yep.
Exactly. All right, so let's go around for predictions then. Let's start with you, Ben. What do you think for tomorrow?
Ooh, I'm going to think it's an open game. I think Swindon will win 3-1.
Okay, Rich.
I'm going to say 3-all.
Okay. Well, you did say a lot of goals, didn't you? Gary?
2-2.
2-2. And Woody?
3-2 Swindon.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gary. I think it'll be 2-2. So we'll move on to the last bit now, which is our Fool's end of season awards. Now, the panel was sent 5 different awards. So what we'll do is we'll do one award at a time and go through your picks for each
I haven't
award.
done mine.
So the first one was our Fool's player of the season. So I'll give. Have you got your selections on you already? Yeah.
I haven't got mine. They're on my phone.
You'll probably remember anyway, Gary. I'll start with you then, Gary. So who did you have for your player of the season?
Blake Tracy.
And what was your reasoning behind that?
I just think I have a bad bunch. He's been committed. He's been the captain, centre back, full back. You can't fault him. You could argue that he's been in defence, has conceded goals. Yes, but he's been one of the better defenders. That's my pick.
Yeah, fair enough. Woody?
Anthony Grant.
The commentary.
He's done a good job at Crawley, hasn't he? So
yeah, I'm still gonna stick by. I've been singing his praises all season, so I'm still gonna go Wakeling. I think Blake Tracy is a bit more vulnerable than we think, but he probably would have got it based on his efforts, etc. But for me, a young lad who's come in and played a hell of a lot of games and contributed quite well, so he gets it for me.
Okay, Rich.
He hasn't been here long. I've spoken about him earlier in the season. I'm going to say McEachran, but I'm going to say another player because obviously McEachran hasn't played it obviously here very much. So I'm going to go to a player that left in January. I'm going to say Gladwin because I don't feel as if that we should have let him go. I think he was doing a very, very good job for us. Despite all the criticism that he got, and I thought up until the point where we did sell him, I thought he was excellent. So I've sort of mixed the two different parts of the season there. I don't think there's been one player that has been overall consistent through the whole season, but if I'm looking at it over 2 halves of the season, those are the 2 players that I would go for. I think Gladwin was an immense loss in January. And I was gutted to see him go. So, and the fact that we didn't properly replace him either, it's a bit disappointing. So, I think that.
Well, I mean, I'll my thoughts on Gladwin. I wouldn't say he was he was excellent. But what you're saying there, Rich, is that you've got a Franken player. If you merge the two together, there's one that's good enough to be player of the season.
Yeah.
So that's fair. This one was the hardest one for me because most of the players have been either inconsistent or injured at one point. But yeah, I'll get to mine in a sec. Let's go to you, Ben. Your player of the season.
FBT. I think when he's not been around, we've missed him. I'd much rather him being at left back than a centre back. But when he's been pulled out of position and done a centre back position, he's not been like obviously he's made a few mistakes, but he's been a rock and he throws his head in where it hurts. And he's been a solid, quality, calm player at the back, and we don't have nearly enough players like him. If we had a few more players like him, we'd be a lot higher up the league. So yeah, FBT for me.
No, that's absolutely fair, mate. I mean, for me, like I said, there wasn't that much in it. Normally, for a player of the season, you're looking at 9s or 10s out of 10, and like I said, it's normally a bad season if your best player is an 8 out of 10. But there wasn't much in it. You know, FBT was one of mine, but similar to Woody, I went for Wakelin. His stats have been a bit deceiving, as I said to you guys in the WhatsApp group, but he's had 40 league games. He started 34, and in 24 of those that he's started, he's been subbed. And of those 40, he's only played 14 as the main striker, but yet he's still managed 7 goals and 5 assists. And also for me, he works his fucking socks off, and that's always a good thing in my book. But yeah, mine for player of the season was Wakelin. And now we go on to our flop of the season, which was probably taking us a bit longer to try and figure out. But I finished with you last time, Ben. So I'll start with you now. Who was your flop of the season?
Darcy. It was close between Shade and Darcy, but at the end it's Darcy because he was designed to be this exciting number 10 who would run at players and score from all sorts of angles. I think Liam of the lower league made out it was going to be our best player by standout this season. And I think personally, I've seen him in he's had one good game, which was the Mansfield away one. Other than that, he's done little cameos here and there, but he runs about. He does his best. He runs about, but I don't think he's a Football League player. I think he's a solid National League mid-table player. I would offload him in the summer if I possibly could. Darcy.
No, fair enough, mate. Rich, who was your flop of the season?
I wanted to say Shade, but also I'm gonna say Adeloy because I like Adeloy, and I don't think it's his fault that he's flopped, but it just become like, you know, we haven't seen enough of him. We've like Ben said in terms of Darcy, Adeloy was supposed to come in and add goals to us, and the only goal he has scored was obviously against Newport away, and that was in the 88th minute. You know, it was a consolation goal. So from that perspective, you have to say that he has probably flopped. Again, I don't think it's his fault, but also at the same time, though, you've got to take everything into consideration. Has he achieved his goals this season? Not even in that ballpark. So, do I hope that we can keep him? I've just seen a comment there. Yeah.
Bless him, the forgotten man.
What's a divine?
Brilliant. What's a divine?
Hey, for one half, he was amazing.
I've heard it's an ice cream sandwich, but
that's a fair shout out, really, Divine, because technically it is it's however you perceive a flop to be. You know, your way was a different angle as well, Rich. So it's all fair, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Woody, who was yours?
It wasn't Ronan Darcy, because a flop to me suggests somebody that I have high expectations for. Whereas you all know my thoughts.
Did you, Woody? Did you happen
I saw
to
him.
say?
I saw him. What?
Did you see him in a pre-season
I
friendly?
saw him in a
did you?
pre-season friendly at
You
Belgium,
mentioned
and I
it.
said, yeah, and the same when I saw Wakeling. But yeah, no, it's not Darcy because I didn't have high expectations of him anyway. Divine, I feel a bit harsh on just because the poor guy just keeps getting injured. So I don't think I've actually seen him play for him to be a flop. But if it hadn't have been for his slight turn of form, it would have been Tyrese Shade because I did have a big build up on Shade. But it's not Shade, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Mine is Kieran Brennan. I just haven't. He came with not a massive reputation, but he came with a decent enough high level club, etc.
When Wednesday fans were singing his praises, they were like, "Why are we loaning him out to a League Two team?"
He started way too many games under Lindsay.
I think he played like 18, 19 games or whatever, but I don't recall any of them being any good. No. Was it a Harrogate game he went off with the
concussion? Obviously that didn't help. But he still played a lot of games.
Yeah, I just think like when you compare him to, I guess our rest of our mediocre defence, I just think that for me he's probably been the one that I had decent expectations for and has just really not done it for me.
No, that's fair enough. And Gary, your flop of the season.
Well, I'll start by just saying notable notices to Shade and Brennan. They were two of my close picks, but I'm going to have to go with Darcy as well. For a player who's played 41 games from an attacking midfield position, scored 4 goals and 2 assists, doesn't add up for me. No
wonder we've been shit.
To be fair to Darcy, he's been played in so many different positions. He was playing right back, left back, centre mid, centre defensive.
But so is Wakeling, and he's done more.
Same Wakeling's been pissed about. He's been a left wing back after the season.
He's a left wing back, right wing back. I'm just surprised he hasn't been a goalkeeper yet. So
What I don't get is Ronan Darcy's best game for me was at right back, and we've not played him at right back since.
Yeah.
Was that against Salford? No, it was against Rochdale.
Yeah,
we beat them 3-0.
Yeah. Well, for me, my it's a similar thing. I was looking at Shade, but he has improved slightly under Morris. But yeah, for me, it had to be Darcy. He's been poor all season. He helped set up a goal against. Was it against? I think it was against Salford, and they scored like an own goal, and then everyone, Darcy's back.
Yeah.
Like he was brilliant all summer, and it was just like a shit goal. But he doesn't offer anything for me. He works hard.
I think he works hard. Yeah, he works hard.
He works hard, but we need more than that to get out of this league. At the end of the day, he's a mediocre bottom half League 2 player at best for me, unfortunately.
Do you know what? I think there's a flop, and then there's a flop comment of the season as well, is him being compared to fucking the League 2 Modric.
Yeah.
It's only because he vaguely looks like it, It's like the Ginger Pele. He
don't play like it.
He don't play like it, yeah.
Not even close.
He don't. No.
The thing is, he's way too lightweight as well. He gets so pushed off the ball so easy. It's just,
Good season in lower league, non-league. That's what you need.
He probably, that's a fair shout.
And some protein.
Sorry, Gan.
And some protein.
Good steak. Good steak.
Brilliant. So we got the third award is the most improved player. Who should we start off with this time? Rich, who's your shout?
I was going to say, hang on.
All right, I'll come back to you if you want.
Yeah, come back to me.
All right, go on then. Ben, you go first.
Oh, that's the stuff. Right, okay, let me have a think.
Oh, I can come back to you as well.
Can you come back to me? Because
go on then, Gary.
My shout is Wakeling.
Yeah.
My shout's Wakeling. I think he's played all over the place, left back, up front, defence, wherever you played him. He's been on the bench. He's been in and out the side. He scored goals. He's got assists. He was in the the youth player of the EFL youth player of the season, whatever.
Yeah.
So for that sort of player, he's been in and out of the side. He's played all over the place. Still got some important goals. Again, still keeps improving. So, and still young, still will improve. So that's my shout.
Yeah, that's good shout, mate. You got yours now, Rich?
Yeah, do you know what? This might be quite controversial as well, but I'm going to say Sol Bryn. I look at the game against Harrogate. Woody's face is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so's mine, mate, to be honest. Yeah.
Woody's off.
Woody's gone. He's had
No,
now.
you've insulted Woody's so offended by that. He's gone now, mate.
No, I look at him after that Harrogate game, and people were absolutely slating him. And you know that can damage anybody's confidence after just one game. And the way that he came back from that, and being such a young goalkeeper as well, you know, you saw what happened to Kovar, you know, and he got a lot of criticism, and there wasn't even any bloody fans in the stadiums at that point, and he just went down. No, and you know, in terms of Bryn, you know, he took it like a man. He swept it off, and he put in some really, really good performances for us. He's made some critical saves, and you know, I do think he's massively improved in games. Obviously, recently his form has maybe come into question. But as do all goalkeepers, and especially when your defense changes quite a lot as well, that can have a massive impact. So I think the way that he's dealt with it, the way he's managed, and the way that he's kept his place, consistency in this team, I think he's done very, very well, and I think he has massively improved. So I'm going to say, just as a differentiate and to back my point up, I'd give Sol Bryn it.
No, that's fair. It's all about opinions, mate. So that's what makes it interesting. We can't have all have Darcy's and shades and stuff like that.
Well, that was another thing. Obviously, I wanted to differentiate. Obviously, Wakeland's obviously up there. You got to give it, but also I do look at players that have improved, that have had setbacks and improved, and that's the whole thing around the award. So,
absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Yeah. What about yours, Ben?
Well, I'm going to say someone that started out very, very badly and was a bit of a joke, really, to most of the teams. And who's finished, he's not everyone's favourite cup of tea, but he actually is now quite a useful tool coming off the bench, and that's Tyrese Shade. I think at the start of the season, when he played, everyone rolled the eyes. Every time he came off the bench, everyone rolled the eyes. He was useless. No end product, no build-up, couldn't do a thing. And then I think roughly around the turn of the year, I think that Northampton goal did him a power of good. And he got a bit of confidence inside him. And I think he's probably a useful asset coming off the bench now. He still can't do it from starting, which is a shame for him. But there is times where legs are tiring and he's actually quite a useful commodity to come on and bring on and inject his pace. And he's quite direct as well. And he knows where the goal is. He scored some important goals for us. So I'm going to say most improved player from his starting position to where he is now is Tyrese Shade. Yeah, that just shows you how low our bar is this season, though. I will add that because he's not particularly great.
I'm glad you added that caveat, mate, because that would have been an argument waiting to happen in the WhatsApp chat. You know that, mate.
So. Fyfie's going to love that when he reads that. He's going to be fuming. But the bar's quite low. It's Tyrese Shade.
I mean, I'd have given him most improved player if he'd have improved his fucking goal celebration. You know, it's not exactly. It's not like an Andy Much cartwheel for those of you that are a bit older, that are over the age of 30. But yeah, we got Fyfie's joined us as well now. He's just come in. Most improved talent-wise. This is exactly what I was going to go for, actually. I agree, actually. Hepburn Murphy, he's obviously come on leaps and bounds since getting through his injury woes and has been quite fairly consistent in a poor team, really. under Morris. But and hopefully we'll take the option on to keep him on next season. So we got the next one is the most underrated player.
I didn't say my most improved.
Sorry, mate.
I didn't say my most improved.
Oh, sorry, Woody. Go on then.
To be fair, I agree with Fyfie actually, and yourself. Mine is Hepburn Murphy. From the first game I've watched him to the last game I watched him. I think the first game I watched him was the one he tried to come back and then went off injured again. So, I think, for me, Hepburn Murphy. I don't think there's too much to shout about in terms of players that have improved over the season, but Hepburn Murphy seems to be getting better each game, whether that's because he's getting fitter or whether I don't think he's technically getting better because was he 27? So although there's still room for development, it's not like he's going to have a mass improvement. But if there's one player that I see better performances each time, it's probably Hepburn Murphy.
Yeah, he does look quite dangerous with his pace going forward when we can get him into the game. But yeah, I fully agree, mate. We'll carry on with you then, Woody. Your most underrated player.
I don't even remember this one coming out in the WhatsApp group. Most underrated player.
Come back to you if you want.
Yeah, come back to me.
Gary.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a left field one out and go with Ricky Aguirre. Hasn't played, hasn't got you started, but when you got players that are like Darcy starting ahead of him, it just doesn't baffle me. Underrated. He's underrated by someone at the club, but don't know why.
Yeah, absolutely. And it weren't just Morris though as well. It obviously Lindsay for whatever reason.
But Garner liked him. Garner liked him.
Yeah, Garner did. Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's like what I
in a playoff side. But
I could see him going to Colchester in the summer, actually.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. Yeah.
Very strange.
I think it's pointless if we keep hold of him. I mean, he's on a 2-year deal though, as well. He is.
Yeah, so I think they'll be happy just to take him off the wages.
Yeah.
And say,
he's not earning anything though.
Well, be on something. He would have got an improved wage deal. He would have got.
He'd be on about £700 a week.
It's still but for our club, you know, every penny counts, doesn't it? So yeah. So where was I? Rich, your most underrated player?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was just going to quickly go back to flop of the season. Knighton Kings just reminded me of a player. Kane. He had so many appearances in Newport. He played really, really well, really highly rated there. And yeah, he's been absolute dog shit for us. But yeah, no, most underrated player, I'm going to say Marcel Lavinier. I think I think even under Lindsay, I know he's obviously had his injury problems, but I think he has been a little bit under the radar. He hasn't had started as many games as he probably would have liked. But when he has played, he's been pivotal. I thought he was going to wallop the net the other night because he was setting up for his trademark long-range shot outside the box and went straight into the keeper's hands. But I think I think in the games that he has played this season, I think he's done really, really well. So I think he's definitely a future player going under Morris for next season. So and hopefully he can really shine.
Yeah, I think he should definitely replace Hutton if we sell him. And like you say, I like a player that can shoot from outside the area, and he's obviously got that in him, so that'll be quite useful. And I don't think we've done enough of that this season. Ben, your most underrated player?
I had one or two. I was thinking of two that I was going to use. One of them was going to be Jeff Cott, and I'll give you reasons for that. But actually, the one that I do agree with, horribly underused, is Lavinier. Just the same reasons what Rich said, that he should actually he would start in a lot of League Two teams regularly, and he's been really unlucky that he hasn't. I think he's got goals in him. He's very skillful. He's got good vision, great engine. He can play left or right back, and he's been forced upon that left back position. I don't think he started a game in his favourite position this season, has he? Has he started a game right back?
Yeah,
No,
I don't think he hasn't started many that
he's
many
had all these
games at all,
plaudits,
really,
and
has he?
we're yet to see him do what he does best yet. So,
Well,
yeah,
I definitely
Give it,
think he's better defensively as a right back than Hutton, but
Yeah.
obviously he doesn't offer as much maybe going forward. But if Hutton did stay next season, I'd be happy having Lavinier as right back and Hutton, as we've discussed many a time in the WhatsApp group,
Correct.
as a right winger. So yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good shout as well, Ben. You was nodding in agreement about Lavinier, would he?
Yeah, Lavinier for me. I think every time he's come on, I think he's had a good game for me. So all the games I've seen him in anyway. So yeah, Lavinier for me. I'd still take him at right back over Hutton because he's a better fullback. So yeah, if we keep Hutton, then I've got no qualms with Lavinier. But then I like Lavinier further forward as well. That's how he got his goal against. What was that screamer at home? I can't remember who it was against, but he was playing kind of a wing position at that point.
Grimsby, wasn't it?
Grimsby, yeah, he was playing further forward in that game. So yeah, I think one of the reasons I think he's underrated is because it seems that Morris really likes him as well. Obviously he's worked with him before, but Morris just seems to never start him, and it just seems a bit strange. But yeah, I quite like him. He'd probably actually be one of the, if you ask me to start a clean slate of who we would keep, it'd be one of the first ones I would keep.
Yeah,
the little flash somewhere out there, Warren's ears just pricked up because I saw McDonald's name. Underrated. I think he's someone that we've missed since he's left. So I'd say he's got a good shout. Not as much as Lavinier. He doesn't make my top 3 because Jeff Cott's my number 2.
I think his experience is missed, but I don't rate his ability as a centre back.
Clayton suffered with him departing, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just because Clayton's form seemed to drop after McDonald went, doesn't mean that McDonald's a good bloody defender. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah, don't get me started on McDonald.
There you go. You and Fyfie can have it out now, Craig.
Well, it's me and Wazza, wasn't it? I think
Fyfie
was the same on McDonald's, to be fair. But yeah, my most underrated player. I've gone a bit outside the box with this one, but I've gone for Dvorak. I think there's so much potential there, and in the brief spells that I've seen, I was just so impressed with him. He doesn't look out of place, and he looks creative. And I think he's destined for bigger things along the lines of Scott Twine. Now, people are saying if he was good enough, he'd be starting. But we said the same about Scott Twine. And let's face it, right? If it wasn't for Michael Flynn at Newport, we wouldn't have taken a chance on Scott Twine, and he wouldn't be where he is now. And people were saying, why don't we give Scott... I remember saying, why haven't we given Scott Twine a chance and everything before he went to Newport? People said, well, if he was good enough, he'd be starting. Obviously, he's training badly, not training as well and stuff like that. People throw this out time and time again. They say it about Dvorak. They've said it about so many players that have come through our youth system, not been given a chance, and then just dropped off the radar. There's just no reason, as we were saying earlier, why he shouldn't start against Crawley. He should really start against Crawley and just be given that chance. And that's why he's my underrated player. But yeah, I really want to see him, starting in a Swindon Town shirt, and I don't think he'd be out of place in League Two if given the chance. So we're on to the last one now. So we've nearly finished up. It's the signing of the season. So we'll let's start with Woody on this one. Well, I could come back to you again, mate.
I'm trying to avoid saying Wakeling. But then if he's a new signing and he was my player of the season, so
if you think he's in, then it's him.
Wakeling, yeah. No, Fair enough. You're in agreement there, Ben?
No, but I understand what he's saying is. My one, again, is a late signing because what I think he's going to do, FBT's my number 2, by the way, but my signing is going to be a terrific player for next season. It's McEachran. I think he's going to be one of the best midfielders in the league next year.
I was getting a bit worried there, Ben.
And you said his name correctly then as well, mate. You said his name correctly as well.
I know. I'm like practice McEachran.
He's learning.
Who did you think I was going to say?
Oh, I thought you were going to
Could be anyone.
I thought you were going to say like Morgan Roberts or something like that.
I thought Charlie Austin. I thought you were going Charlie Austin.
No, McEachran, best signing.
McEachran's a good shout.
Yeah, that is a good. That's a fantastic.
If it didn't sound contradictory for me to give a new signing player of the season, I would have said McEachran because, yeah.
What
most effective saying.
McEachran was a good shout. Fyfie disagrees.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fyfie's going to be on in a minute, guarantee.
Unless I don't know if I've missed him in the lobby because I can't see below who's waiting below like the first 4 of us that have come on. So I might have missed Fyfie. If I have done, mate, I do apologise. This is Fyfie explaining, saying that the players that will be better. That's his point there, mate.
Yeah. McEachran's going to rip up League 2.
Yeah, you've had form for that before, mate. When you said about Hutton and Tomlinson being the best fullbacks. Although to be fair,
better wing back than Hutton.
Although to be fair, yeah, it'd be difficult to argue against Hutton. To be fair, and also Fyfie's back in again.
Jeff got up. He was my number 2 for underrated player, Fyfie. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is for those of you who are listening as well as watching. This is reminiscent of our WhatsApp chats. This is Fyfie and Ben.
This is me poking Fyfie with a stick.
Yeah, it is.
And if you are listening, Fyfie is commenting. He's having a pop because he doesn't like Jeff got.
It's absolutely gold. So yeah, we had Ben. Gary, your signing of the season.
I'm going Tom Clayton. I think decent centre back. Signed him. Potentially be keeping him fit and playing well. Future club captain, be keeping long enough. Been decent. Yeah, dripped off the injuries, but looking good again. So yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's another good shout as well. And finally, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, there was a couple of players. Obviously, you had Wakelin and McEachran, but I didn't say him for player of the season, but I'm going to say him for signing of the season, Fraser Black-Tracy. Do think he was a breath of fresh air when he came in. He's absolutely bossed that left-back position, and he's played centre-back when he's needed to, which is unfortunately for the majority of the second half of the season, but not any fault of his own. But I think if he played there next season, yeah, I think that's a hell of a signing, that, and keep him in that position. Yeah, I think we'll be golden.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Divine getting injured, we probably would never have brought him in the first place.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, exactly.
What's a Divine?
What's a Divine?
Yes.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention, absolutely. Yeah, I'm the same as you, Rich. To be honest, McEachran was a close second. He probably would have got it if he hadn't have had that drop in form when we were absolutely dire before we picked up recently. But yeah, I mean, for me, Blake Tracy in a team of, and including himself, where either one of the players has been injured for a period or has just been inconsistent or out of form. FBT is probably the closest I could get to have being signing of the season. For me, he's captain material and a good old-fashioned left-back in the Stuart Pearce mould, which I think is absolutely fine for League Two. And he was our most consistent player until he was moved to centre-back. And he does okay there, but he's not the same there. He's definitely better. He's a left-back. As a left back, so yeah, and that's the end of our our end of season awards. So yeah, and we're coming to a finish. I think. Oh, is Woody trying to get back in? Oh, there we go. Sorry, Woody. I couldn't see.
Sorry,
you.
I don't know what happened. I went, popped out to get a drink, and then came back, and I must have pressed the wrong button, and it just kind of went.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right, mate. Well, we're finishing up now. Anyway, unless there was any other business from any of you guys, we will leave it there. Just so that those of you know, as we're going towards the end of the season, we will still be bringing out 2 episodes a week at our normal times of 9 p.m. on a Monday and Friday. Fyfie's been working hard, filling up the whole of May with content for you guys that we will be providing. So if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to press the subscribe button and hit that bell notification, and you won't miss any of our award-winning content that we provide.
Winning?
And well, nearly. We were nominated, and we were runners-up. You know, that makes me a winner in my books. That does. But yeah, and also we have plans to bring you content through June and July. So if you don't want to miss that, then like I said, please press subscribe and hit the bell notification. Also, we've got our alternative awards as well, which we did last year, which went down very well with the viewers. So we will be announcing when we do that sometime after the season's finished. But if you've enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like. And also, if you're listening on a podcast, if you could give us 5 stars, that would be awesome as well. Again, and on behalf of myself and everyone here at Fools Rush In, thank you for watching. And I'm still trying. I still can't do this bloody time it right. So I'm just going to waffle on until I get the titles back in as I mumble into a shambolic end. But again, thank you everyone.
You did well, Craig. You did well, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you everyone for watching, and thanks for all your comments and for contributing towards today's episode.
Take my hands, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love.